Welcome everybody to the next 20 minutes of all things sport for confidence. I will try my best to give you a bit of an overview of sport for confidence, but it is only 20 minutes, so it's going to be a bit of a snapshot really. But also I want to focus on the role of OT using physical activity as an assessment and intervention tool. And so we'll go into that in a bit of depth and kind of how important our sort of role is within this space really. So just quickly introduce myself. So my name is Liz Fletcher. I qualified as an occupational therapist back in 2006. I've always felt that physical activity has a huge role within our profession, and I've tried to embed it in everything that I've done. And I was just so chuffed to find out about Sport for Confidence. I learnt about them about 3 years ago. I bumped into Lindsay, who's the founder, and I was just so impressed with her vision and what she had already created. And I absolutely couldn't wait to work for them. And so I've been working for them now for a year, and the drive and passion and commitment of Sport for Confidence is absolutely incredible. But the certainty that it's given me a new level of confidence actually. I always thought OTs had something to offer the sort of sports sector, and I always felt that OTs could use physical activity more than they currently do. But having worked with Sport for Confidence now for a year, I am incredibly sure, and I just know that the evidence is just so overwhelming around physical activity and the importance of it. I just know as an occupational therapy profession, we have so much to offer this space, and I'm hoping that I can convince one or two of you listening to this that actually it's something that you should think about a little bit more. And I know that a lot of you probably do think about physical activity or use it in some way already. And I'm interested to hear from both sets of people. And so please contact me afterwards if you've got any interest in what we discuss. It would be great to hear from you. My email will be on a slide later. And but yeah. So anyway, I'll move on. I'll talk a little bit more about my role as I go through. But yeah, as I talk, I do want you to listen to me. That would be great. But if I also want you to think and reflect as I'm talking. You know, how is physical activity used already in the place where you work, and is it valued? And how does your organisation show that value? What has worked well? What does work well? How could that be elevated? How could that be used more? If you're starting from complete scratch, you know, start thinking more about, well, how could you start using physical activity in your practice a little bit more? What evidence do you need to back up some of your ideas that you're going to put forward to your manager or to your directors of the trust? But yeah, any thoughts or ideas, please share them with me. There's my email, so contact me. So I'm not going to be able to share too much because of time, but on the bottom left here, we have a picture of Lindsay Barrett, who is the founder of Sport for Confidence. And her story really is that she was absolutely always in love with the OT profession, and she was training and actually became really poorly in her second year. And she had an autoimmune condition, and this led her into hospital. She very nearly died, and she started to recover, really struggled to put anything that the healthcare professionals were suggesting into action. Occupational therapists came to see her, asked her what was important to her. Lindsay told her, well, what I want to do is play netball again. And this was so far away from where she was at the moment, almost looked like an impossibility. But Lindsay had been training to be a professional netball player. And so this was really the only thing that she could think about. So cleverly, the OT embedded the love of netball and sport into every step of Lindsay's recovery, and it really worked for her. So anyway, Lindsay recovered, luckily, thank goodness, and went on to complete her training, worked in various places in the NHS, but just couldn't let go of this idea that physical activity could be used a lot more within the OT profession. So she took a bit of a gamble and decided, teaming up with Mitch, you see there, and Dan on the first step, to create Sport for Confidence. And so the starting point was her in a leisure centre as an OT, and which quickly grew to Lindsay and a coach. And then from there, it's just gone from strength to strength. And now we are in 14 leisure centres across Essex and Greater London. So the idea really is that it's the relationship between the occupational therapist and the coach is what's so important here. You wouldn't think anything of it, would you, if you went on to placement or clinical practice and we were told to work in partnership with a physio or a speech therapist or a nurse. It's something that we would do quite naturally. Well, it's just exactly the same in the sense that the coach, like the physio, is bringing their unique set of skills to the table. We're combining them with occupational therapy, and we are working in a collaborative way. There is no need to be sporty to work for Sport for Confidence. You have to love and buy into the values and philosophy of occupational therapy, and you have to understand that physical activity is an important element within this. You don't need to be a coach. I'm laughing a little bit inside because one of our students at the moment, Kez, she won't mind me saying, I know, because she's done a vlog about it, but she was absolutely terrified in her, so it's not actually funny that she was terrified, but she was sure that she had to become a coach in the first couple of weeks of a placement, and now, 5 weeks in, she's fully aware that actually she needs to be a really good OT, and it's that combination of working with a coach that creates something really important for participants. So this is the Sport for Confidence model. You see there that around the outside there are main partners. Most of the time we are based in leisure centres, not all the time, but most. And so obviously working with leisure centre staff and leisure providers is high up there, and health and social care. Obviously, we want to create a smooth pathway into leisure centres for people being seen in the NHS. Active partnerships. If you don't know what active partnerships are, look it up now as I'm talking. There are, I want to say 43, but I might be wrong. I think there's 43 active partnerships across the country. There will be an active partnership near you. So if you're in Derby, it will be Active Derby. I think, yes, it will. If you're in Nottingham, it'll be Active Notts. In Sheffield, we've got Yorkshire Sports Foundation. In Essex, is Active Essex. You will have your own local one. Look it up, because they are, if you're interested in working in this area, you need to know your active partnerships and what they are all about. But obviously, I'm not going to miss out our clients, our participants. This is essential, as we know, as part of OT practice anyway, but it's something that we're looking to develop even further and make sure we've got some really good co-production work going on. But everything that Sport for Confidence is built on is the voice of the participants. Really, they are asked on a daily basis how they feel, how they are, how do they want things to improve? Is there a sport session that they want to try? Can we make it happen? Do they need any kind of personalized adjustments to make something happen for them? Honestly, I'm not just saying this, but if Sport for Confidence will do it, they'll do it. Feels like some kind of cheesy ad, but they really do bend over backwards to personalize things for people. So this is a snapshot of our delivery. On the left, you'll see something before COVID, 71 groups per week, 13 locations, which is now 14, I believe. Age between 5 and 97. We're always encouraging new clients in. There's not a traditional admission and discharge process as there would be in a clinical setting. We're very much a community asset in the leisure centre, and we want people to feel that it's a normal experience. People are there to enjoy themselves, have fun, relax, whatever they want from it. So it isn't a clinical feel at all, but that doesn't mean to say that we don't apply some clinical expertise, and in no way do we want to disempower people and make them become dependent on our service. We work to support them to move on, whether that's into a volunteer role. We have a number of volunteers that have moved their way through the system, or maybe it's to become a member of that leisure centre without us as support, or whatever it is their personal goals are. That is what we're trying to work towards. On the right, you'll see a snapshot of Stay Connected. Absolutely, really brilliant, to be honest. It was, lockdown happened, which was devastating for the hundreds of people that we see and have regular contact with across all the leisure centres. And they were obviously people that are going to be even more isolated than they can be normally. And so Sport for Confidence worked closely with commissioners and developed an online offer. And so this has gradually grown and improved, and now simply offer the model that we offer in the leisure centre online. People are offered coaching support and occupational therapy support. They may have personalised exercise programmes brought into their own home. They may join a group session. They will have that OT to think about their routine and their daily lives, how their health is affecting them, what personal goals could they set themselves, all the things that very well what OTs do. And the feedback from the participants has been absolutely incredible. It really has appeared to impact on people's lives in a really great way, and it's also provided an additional kind of graded exposure step, I suppose, into people coming into leisure centres, because what we're finding now, the leisure centres are back open, is that people are saying, actually, I want to try the digital first, and that's a good first step for me. I will build up to come into the leisure centres. So they might be people that would never have come to leisure centres potentially, and it's also providing people with lots of flexibility. They can do various, they're trying new sporting activities at home that they wouldn't have tried otherwise. And so I'm hoping that this service is not going to stop. It seems so valued by the community that I'm hoping that it keeps going. So as I've said before, I'm just doing a quick time check. This is going to be such a snapshot into all the areas that we're sort of thinking about, but it's really worth looking into this training, because this will give you something a bit more in depth about Public Health England, and they will deliver a really thorough evidence-based session on the evidence around physical inactivity. It's really good. I've been on it myself a couple of times, and but it's something they've been offering for a couple of years. So you could email them now and set up a training session ASAP, or you could hang on, and because actually we're teaming up with them at Sport for Confidence and developing a Part B. So we're looking to see how we could apply this evidence base in practice with you. So it will be a 3-hour workshop, and so we haven't started that yet. But if you're interested and would like to have some involvement in that, then please do email info@sportforconfidence.com and potentially me. So I'm aware of time and I'm trying not to go over, so I'm sorry if I do seem to be whizzing through these. But I said earlier, I think I said earlier that I have I'm not a clinical OT within Sport for Confidence. I have a role to on a specific project with Sport England, and Sport England obviously really interested in what we do at Sport for Confidence, because we're offering a unique approach. And I guess what my message to you out there to OTs is, you have this unique approach too. We're applying it in leisure centres. You could apply it elsewhere. If you look at their 5 big issues and the 4th one down, connecting with health and well-being, well, the sports sector absolutely know that we in the health sector have a unique understanding and experience of working with people that have complex health needs. We understand why why it's very difficult to get on and do things, why it's difficult to go from being inactive to active. And it's something that we as occupational therapists understand. We understand that complexity, and it's time for us to start shouting about it, really. Because I think that's important to acknowledge, is that it seems strange that we kind of think that the sports sector's over here, Sport England, you know, how often do we hear about that within our OT practice? Not very often in my experience. And then so we've got the Sport England sports sector over here, and then we've got health over here. And maybe it's not always so separate in reality, but it can feel really separate. And so we often have to stand out of our zone in order to connect with another zone. And so what my ask is of you as occupational therapists is stand out of your normal zone in your clinical practice, and have a look. Stand out of your normal zone and have a look into the sports zone, because they're interested in what you have to say and what you have to bring, and there'll be excellent partnerships to form. You find out who your active partnership is, go and connect with a coach, go and connect with a personal trainer, start talking to them about occupational therapy, start working with them. We're much better at doers than we are talkers as occupational therapists, in my experience. So do it. Go out and create a new project. Think about how you can build physical activity into your existing working practice. Go out and get a coach and get them to do some work with you. Write about it, write up as a project, as a quality improvement project, and tell the sports sector about it, because they're interested, and so are we. So I'm not going to talk about why moving matters, because I think everybody listening to this will know, but I'm just going to highlight actually the evidence around this is overwhelming. There is absolutely so much. It's like when you start reading it and start immersing yourself into this world, you just can't believe that we're not all doing more about this already. There is a whole Public Health England training session on it. But the thing is, there's groups in our society that are that are disadvantaged. They have multiple barriers to various things, and through no fault of their own. Disabled people with long-term health conditions. If you look at the groups of people disadvantaged or affected by inequalities in sport and physical activity, we are working with this lots of people in these defined groups, and these are our areas of expertise. And so we know these people, we understand their lives, we work with them, and we've got something to share with the sports sector about them. And so, you know, I think it's important to acknowledge that I know we're called Sport for Confidence, but we're not really about sport. We are. I know it's a bit confusing, but we are, of course, we're interested in physical activity, and of course we're interested in sport, but that is not our driving force. And you know, as occupational therapists, our driving force is to work with people and to put their goals at the forefront. And people don't come to Sport for Confidence, very rarely anyway, come to Sport for Confidence because they want to get fit or to get active. People want to come because they want to improve their skills or build their confidence or be more prepared for a job, or you know, think about education or something. There's just, you know, whatever goal you've got, that is what the occupational therapist is focused on. It's that how we use sport as an assessment and intervention tool that supports somebody to get their goal. And that's the key difference. That's why we don't need you to be sporty. So you know, there's the more, again, it's the evidence. There's just so much evidence around the problems that inactivity causes is massive, and so it's a growing area. This is not going to go away. We might as well get involved now. Really good document, really useful information around inactivity and the evidence base. It's only 16 pages long or something. I really encourage you to download it and have a look through. But in there, you'll see this particular slide as well, which really highlights the importance of, at minimum, we need to talk to our clients, our participants, about physical activity. Our message at Sport for Confidence is we can do a lot more than talk, but at minimum, that's what you need to do. Again, another slide that indicates how important it is that we're involved. We are working a lot with people that live sedentary lifestyles. If we can support people to move from that sedentary to slightly moving more, then that's where they're gaining the highest level of impact in terms of their health benefits. And it's not about how we can get people going, how we can get people sporty, how we can get people fit. We've got to think about what is our part, what's your part, what's our part within Sport for Confidence, what's your part, and you may have a job in which you kind of think, I just don't know if it fits into my job. I could definitely talk about it sometimes, whatever. But what about just changing the way you think about your job, how your job is now? And I know that might be blue sky thinking a little bit, but you've got to have, as Lindsay did, an idea. And you've got to start with that idea. We've got to change some areas of clinical practice because it doesn't necessarily work for people. If we can play our part in getting people physically active, then we are supporting people to gain health benefits, and not just health benefits, but quality of life, social connections, and more. So I think this is just an interesting slide. I'm already over 20 minutes, so I'm going to rush through. This is a slide that kind of highlights the complexity of what leads to an inactive lifestyle. And so just have a think about what makes you inactive. I've been sat down all day, apart from 1 hour, on my computer, and you know, I'm a very relatively active person, but I actually can lead quite a sedentary lifestyle sometimes, and because of my work. And so actually I work for Sport for Confidence, so it's something I'm looking to change. You know, we are all caught up in this, I suppose, but let's think about our participants as well and what they're caught up with. A major part of my role at the moment is to connect with OTs, AHPs across the country. Please connect with me. If you're interested in physical activity, if you're interested in thinking about how you can change your role, if you're interested in what the sports sector have to offer, if you want just a nice old chat about things, then give me an email. So we've got some social medias there you can connect with us on. There's the Twitter sign at PA4OT, and then the Facebook one, physical activity, it says 4OT. I know you can't quite see it. But please connect with us on social media and join in our sort of conversation. So OT on the Move is every second Thursday of every month, 3:30 till 4. I know it says 4:15, but it is only half an hour. But we get you moving, get some evidence base in there as well. So it's a CPD session. Really want you to join us. So email otonthemove@sportforconfidence.com. Any questions, please email me them and I will get back to you. I would love to hear from you. And I can happily send you slides so you can get access to some of these resources that I've put together. But I'm going to end the session there because I'm over 4 minutes. I'm sorry about that, but it would have been lovely to have connected with you in person. I'm looking forward to hopefully meeting at least a few of you at some point. Thank you.